Transforming your life with hypnotherapy just got easier with your host, Julie from CoachingHypnosis.net.
Welcome back, dear listener, to Coaching Hypnosis. Yesterday, we opened our 30-day dark countdown by roasting the intergalactic estate planning scam of the Texas hypnocult. Today, we're moving into territory that might feel uncomfortably close to home for anyone who's ever spent way too much money on an exclusive leadership mastermind. We are looking at the psychological predator who didn't wear flowing white robes, chant in Sanskrit, or burn expensive incense. Instead, he wore aggressively unwashed crew neck sweaters, spoke entirely in incomprehensible corporate buzzwords, played late-night volleyball like a mid-tier tech manager, and hid an entire psychological human trafficking ring inside a multi-million-dollar executive success seminar. Today, we decode the absolute pseudo-intellectual circus of Keith Raniere and the NXIVM cult. For decades, NXIVM was marketed as the ultimate cutting-edge psychological toolkit for high achievers. It attracted Hollywood starlets, literal billionaires, and top-tier CEOs who flew in to learn how to master their emotions, clear their limiting blocks, and scale their businesses. Everyone was wearing coloured sashes, like they were in a middle management karate class, bowing to each other and using terms like intentional execution. But behind the sleek PowerPoint presentations lay a masterclass in coercive hypnotic abuse. In 2020, a federal judge looked at the buzzwords and sentenced Raniere to 120 years in federal prison for sex trafficking, racketeering, and forced labour. As an executive coach and master hypnotist, this case makes me laugh and shudder at the exact same time. Raniere didn't use magic. He took actual legitimate cognitive behavioural tools, neuro-linguistic programming, and hypnotic age regression. He completely weaponized them to systematically shatter the boundaries of his clients. Let's look at the actual code he ran. Keith Raniere built NXIVM around a proprietary therapeutic method he called inquiry therapy and exploration of meaning sessions, or EMSs, because everything needs an acronym when you're grifting. To the outside world, an EMS looked like a rigorous coaching breakthrough session. A client would sit across from a proctor to uncover a professional block, like fear of public speaking or an inability to hit an 8-figure scale. The proctor would use rapid-fire, circular linguistic patterns designed to confuse the conscious mind. In clinical hypnosis, we call this a confusion induction. When you flood an executive's logical brain with endless self-contradicting circular jargon, the conscious filter gets overloaded, throws its hands up in total exhaustion, and looks for the nearest logical exit. The brain enters a hyper-suggestible trance state just to find relief from the mental circus. Once the client was wide open and completely vulnerable, the proctor would guide them backward in time. This is a standard hypnotic age regression, asking the subconscious to locate the earliest memory of a positive emotion. In an ethical, normal clinical setting, regression is used exclusively to heal. You go back into a childhood memory, realize from an adult perspective that you are completely safe now, and realize the old data track. But Raniere's proctors did the exact opposite. They located the earliest memory of a negative emotion. They cracked the childhood wound open and poured industrial salt right in it. Step 1. The corporate jargon confusion. Flatten executives' analytical brain with circular NLP word salad until their critical thinking filter completely shuts down from exhaustion. Step 2. Unhealed child regression freeze. Force a client back to their earliest childhood trauma, freezing them in a helpless child state without ever reintegrating their adult identity. Step 3. The blackmail retainer lock. Extract highly sensitive financial, personal, or visual collateral under the guise of advanced coaching tool for radical transparency. They would convince the client that their entire personality was built on a lie, a deep-seated deficiency. They use the hypnotic state to completely dismantle the client's self-trust. Once your self-trust is broken, you become entirely dependent on the guru who tells you what is real. This reached its absolute and most absurd peak within an inner circle called DOS. High-ranking women were forced to hand over highly sensitive collateral, bank passwords, deeply embarrassing family secrets, or nude photographs as a prerequisite to join. They were told this blackmail was just an advanced coaching tool to help them overcome their fear of vulnerability. Let's appreciate the absurd, sarcastic, and monumental comedy of this entire setup. You had an entire room of highly successful, brilliant, wealthy adult women who were led to believe that the ultimate, cutting-edge secret to global leadership and emotional mastery was handing over their financial records to a guy who looked like a failed tech support manager who hadn't seen the sun in 6 years, right before getting his initials branded onto their hips with a hot, cauterizing iron. If a personal fitness trainer tells you that the secret to burning abdominal fat involves you handing over your house deed and getting their initials tattooed on your arm, you would say, yeah, look at that advanced, high-performing paradigm shift. You call the police, but under the banner of self-improvement, Raniere ran a literal mind control ring for decades. What makes an NXIVM case so vital for us to analyse is that it shows exactly how easy it is to disguise psychological abuse as an elite personal growth seminar. High performers are uniquely vulnerable to this because you are already wired to look for blind spots and do hard things to grow. Raniere took that exact evolutionary drive and turned it against his clients using 3 specific tactics. 1. The redefinition of vocabulary. NXIVM completely rewrote the dictionary for its members. If you felt hurt, lied to, or exploited by a coach, it wasn't because the coach was a predator. It is because you had a feature or an issue that made you fragile. This flips your natural gut instinct completely upside down. 2. Regression without reintegration. When you regress someone hypnotically to a child state, they are completely raw. If you leave them there, you constantly remind them of their childhood helplessness without bringing them back up into their adult executive power. You keep them in a state of psychological infancy. They begin looking at the couch not as a professional consultant, but as a parent whose approval they must win to survive. 3. The collateral anchor. Raniere used physical and financial blackmail as the ultimate negative anchor. Every time a member thought about walking out, the subconscious immediately fired a massive panic response tied to the threat of their secrets being leaked, paralyzing their strategic execution. Now, let's pause this nightmare for a second and look at how a normal, ethical, completely sane clinical hypnotherapist actually handles business, just so we can clear the air. When you sit down with a real professional like me, we don't wear coloured sashes. We don't demand a single piece of blackmail material. We don't ask for your bank passwords. First of all, we discuss our prices, terms, and session fees clearly upfront in broad daylight before any hypnotic work begins. No weird collateral requirement. Second, we explain the exact scientific mechanics of your session, so your conscious mind is entirely informed and in control. And most importantly, when we finish an age regression or an alignment session, we run a heavy, thorough grounding protocol to ensure your brain is fully integrated. Your adult critical thinking is back online at 100% and you're entirely alert enough to safely drive your car home. No branding irons, no corporate cults, just clean, sovereign mental strategy. The ultimate lesson of NXIVM is that true, ethical coaching should always return your power completely to you. It should build your self-trust, solidify your professional boundaries, and make you entirely independent. Anyone who tells you that you must break down your identity, ignore your gut instinct, or surrender your sovereignty to build a business is running a high-ticket scam. If you're ready to clear out the external corporate noise, ground your nervous system in absolute reality, and lead your business with a completely unburdened, independent mind, I invite you to book your free 40-minute clarity call with me today. We will audit those stress triggers, clear the baggage, and install an unshakable subconscious identity focused entirely on your true present authority. Remember, aligned subconscious plus healed history equals unshakable leadership. Thank you for listening. Align your mind, heal your past, grow your business. Mindfully yours, Julie.